Howdy again, everybody. I just wanted to kind of address what I know most of you actually are going through in your heads, at least occasionally, especially here, in sessions 1 and 2 of, you know, what may well be your first stand up programming language course is what we refer to in education and learning as benchmarking. It's what you do internally, and you've done it because in education, frankly, we have created a system that forces you to do this from the very beginning, all the way back to our earliest, grade school experiences. What we do is this crappy system of giving everybody a letter grade that forces you to understand that there is a spectrum of learning, and wherever it is that you land on that spectrum, there's places that are better to land on and there are places that are worse to land on, right? And so what that does is it forces you potentially to, kind of downgrade your own sense of progress based on what other people are doing. What I can tell you is, as a not shitty grade school instructor, and what I can tell you based on what we now know in the 2000s and the 2010s and the 2020s as we get here, is that kind of benchmarking for you as an adult learner. So, somebody who is not 5, 10, 11, 12 years old, that kind of benchmarking is negative, right? So what I'll tell you is to assuage anybody their fear of I'm not learning as fast as I could, or I'm not coding as fast as I could, or I know somebody out there is coding faster than me, or I know because I get these emails all the time. Hey, this is taking me a long time, and I know that there's other students out there who are doing it faster. Who cares? Honestly, that is the answer I give to everybody when they tell me about these fictional benchmarks that they know somebody out there is doing faster, better work than them. Who cares? Each one of us approaches a course, whether or not it's a programming language or something else, with a bunch of stuff that we bring with us, right? We will have had experiences, we will have had a lack of experience. Who cares? And each of us comes to this course, and all of our courses, and we need to get something out of it. And that's going to be different for everybody. And, wherever it is on that spectrum from, ease to difficulty, from not a lot of time to a lot of time on each one of the assignments, everybody's going to fall someplace on that spectrum. And wherever that is fine. What I'll tell you is some material comes to some people faster. Some material comes to those same people a little bit less fast later on. Some people, because of experiences they've had, prefer to take their time on everything. And all of those are perfectly okay. So please don't worry about what other students are doing, because from your perspective, the only student that matters is you. So rather than that, just look at the content that we've had for the first week's session. Have you been able to display things to the terminal window properly? Do you understand what a variable is? Do you understand, or at least are you starting to understand, the different times where you can assign a value to a variable? Do you understand the difference between a character and an integer, or an integer and a floating point variable? If the answer to all of those is yes, or I'm close, that's perfect. That's right where you need to be. So honestly, from what I've seen here in scoring, some of the early assignments that have come in, what I've seen here from some of the the messages or the lack of messages that I've gotten from students is all encouraging. So don't burden yourself with this idea of benchmarking. How am I doing relative to this other sinister, better performing, probably smells better student in the class? None of that stuff matters. Literally the only thing that matters is what you get out of the next 7 or 8 sessions of the material here in the course, and how it is that that applies to what you're going to do with it. So please relieve yourself of the burden of benchmarking to some other existential threat from another student, because honestly, it really doesn't exist.